I want to tell you the story of a fighter who built his life on hard work, heart, and crazy self-belief. This is the humble origin story of Merab Dvalishvili, the Machine, one of the most relentless bantamweights in UFC history. When we think of him today, we picture insane cardio, non-stop pressure, and a guy who just refuses to slow down. But that did not start in the octagon. It began in a small part of Georgia, with a kid who had big dreams, no shortcuts, and no guarantee that any of this would work out. So let us walk through how Merab went from unknown kid to UFC Bantamweight champion and one of the greatest in his division. Before we jump in, don't forget to hit that like button, smash subscribe, and help us grow so we can bring you even more awesome UFC content. Let's get started. Merab was born on January 10, 1991. Official records list his birthplace as Vani, a village in what was then the Georgian SSR, and he grew up between there and the capital city, Tbilisi. Life was not rich or fancy, it was simple and tough. Georgia has a strong culture of respect, family, and physical strength, so kids there grow up learning to handle struggle. Fighting and wrestling are not just sports there, they're part of the culture. From a young age, Merab trained in traditional Georgian wrestling, sambo, and judo. He did not start out thinking, I will be a UFC champion one day. He was just learning the styles that were all around him. Training was part of everyday life. It taught him balance, timing, and more than anything, discipline. As he got better and started to compete, people could see that he had something special. He was not the biggest guy, but he was strong, stubborn, and he never backed down. Before the world knew his name, Merab lived like many young athletes from small countries. He worked, he trained, and he tried to figure out how to turn his skills into a real career. There was no clear path to the UFC from Georgia. The money wasn't great, opportunities were limited, but he knew he did not want to waste his talent. He looked at the way MMA was growing and understood that if he wanted to test himself against the best, he would have to leave home. That is not an easy decision. You leave your family, your friends, your language, and your comfort zone. A lot of people only dream about doing that. Merab actually did it. He decided to move to the United States and chase a future that had no promises. When Merab came to the US, he did not arrive as a star. He was just another hungry fighter with almost no money and weak English. He took construction and other small jobs to survive and trained whenever he could. This part of his life shows you who he really is. Instead of complaining, he just worked. When you hear him now talk about that time, you can feel his gratitude. One of the biggest turning points came when he connected with the Serra Longo team in New York. This is the same camp that produced legends like Matt Serra and Chris Weidman. At first, Merab was just the quiet new guy in the room. But when he trained, everyone noticed his pace and his attitude. He wouldn't quit during drills. He wouldn't slow down in sparring. He earned respect the hard way, through effort, not words. At Serra Longo, Merab found more than coaches. He found a second family. Ray Longo and Matt Serra helped guide him, sharpen his technique, and shape his fight IQ. Around him were teammates who took MMA seriously and treated it like a craft. That was the perfect environment for someone like Merab. This is also where his close bond with Aljamain Sterling really grew. They did not just train together, they became brothers. They pushed each other every day, wrestled hard, drilled non-stop, and shared wins and losses. When Aljamain became UFC Bantamweight champion, Merab was right there in his corner. When people asked if they would fight each other for the belt, they always said no. For them, friendship and loyalty mattered more than money or rankings. That kind of bond is rare in this sport, and it became a big part of Merab's story. Before joining the UFC, Merab fought in regional promotions like Ring of Combat. The crowds were small, the pay was low, but these fights built his experience. His style, even back then, was all about pressure and pace. He would shoot for takedowns, scramble, and just wear guys out. He was not a big trash talker. He let his work in the cage speak for him. His big break came in 2017 when he scored a highlight reel spinning back fist knockout over Raufeon Stotts. That performance got attention and helped him sign with the UFC. His debut came later that year against Frankie Saenz. It did not go his way. He lost a close and controversial split decision. In his second UFC fight against Ricky Simón, he lost again in one of the strangest endings we have seen, getting caught in a choke right at the final horn and losing by technical submission. Many fighters would have mentally crashed after starting 0-2 in the UFC, but Merab did not lose faith. Instead, he treated those losses like lessons. After those early setbacks, everything started to click. Merab went on a huge winning streak and became one of the most feared fighters in the bantamweight division. His wrestling and cardio turned into weapons that broke opponents mentally and physically. If you fought him, you knew you were in for 25 minutes of pressure, level changes, and chain wrestling. He might not knock you out with one punch, but he would drown you in pace. He beat tough names like Marlon Morales, Jose Aldo, and Petr Yan. Against Yan in particular, he showed how insane his work rate is by attempting a record number of takedowns in one fight. Over time, he kept stacking wins and also built up crazy stats. He became the UFC's all-time leader in career takedowns and one of the most active strikers in the bantamweight history. Every fight felt like proof that his machine nickname was not just a cool line, it was real. While Merab was climbing the rankings, his best friend Aljamain Sterling was holding the UFC Bantamweight belt. Instead of that causing tension, it actually made both of them better. Aljo defended the title while Merab acted as his main training partner and support system. The two of them working together helped push the rest of the division too. When Aljamain eventually lost the belt, it opened the door for Merab to step fully into that title picture. Fans were already calling for him to get a shot because he had beaten so many top contenders and was on one of the longest winning streaks in the division. It felt more like a matter of when rather than if.
That moment finally came at UFC 306 in 2024, when Merab fought Sean O'Malley for the UFC Bantamweight Championship. O'Malley came in as a popular champion, with flashy striking and knockout power. Merab came in with pressure, wrestling, and the kind of experience that comes from grinding through tough fights. Over 5 rounds, Merab stuck to his style. He mixed takedowns, clinch work, and constant movement to shut down O'Malley's rhythm. By the end, there was no doubt. He won by unanimous decision and became the first Georgian-born UFC champion. That win was huge, not just for him, but for the people of Georgia and for every fighter who comes from a small country with big dreams. He did not stop there. He defended his title against undefeated Umar Nurmagomedov at UFC 311 in early 2025, winning again by unanimous decision in a high-level fight. Then he faced Sean O'Malley a second time at UFC 316 and finished him with a submission. After that, he defended the belt against Corey Sandhagen at UFC 320, landing enough takedowns to hit 100 career takedowns in the UFC and extend his winning streak even further. So what makes Merab stand out in a division full of killers? First, it is his pace. A lot of fighters say they have great cardio. Merab actually proves it every time he competes. He does not give opponents space to rest. Second, he has a clear identity. He knows he is a pressure wrestler with strong striking, and he uses that game plan with confidence. He does not try to be someone he is not. But beyond skills, his character is what pulls people in. He is respectful, grateful, and always positive. You see him smiling with fans, dancing, wearing his Georgian papaka hat, and showing love to both Georgia and the United States. He never forgets his roots. In a sport where trash talk and drama often steal the spotlight, Merab keeps it real, and that hits differently with a lot of fans. Right now, Merab Dvalishvili is already building a legacy as one of the greatest bantamweights of all time. He is a UFC champion, he holds major records like career takedowns, and he has beaten former champions and top contenders again and again. His story is proof that you do not need to be born into money or connections to reach the top. You need grit, the right people around you, and the courage to chase a risky dream. As he continues to defend his title and break more records, his name is going to stay in the history books. But when I look at Merab's journey, the most powerful part is still his mindset. He went from a kid in Georgia wrestling for fun to a construction worker in the US to a champion in the biggest MMA promotion in the world. That is not an overnight success story. That is years of quiet grind. So when we talk about Merab Dvalishvili, we are not just talking about a UFC belt. We are talking about a humble origin story that started far away from bright lights and big arenas. And to me, that is what makes the machine truly special. Like, subscribe, and get ready for more wild UFC content. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.